All right, and welcome back to day number 27 or way number 27 that you can get started in real estate. Now, we've covered a lot of topics on this video series from the BRRRR strategy, from agricultural to turnkey, house hacking, short-term rentals, lease arbitrage, just to name a few. If you want to check out any of those videos, be sure to subscribe to my channel. Look up the playlist for 30 ways to get started in real estate investing. Like I said, for the month of April, for Financial Literacy Month, I've released a video every single day covering another topic that may or may not have heard about before. A lot of these topics I myself didn't even know about even as early as a year ago. So as I've learned and gained knowledge of how to invest, grow my wealth as well as grow my passive income, want to essentially spread the word, share the education that I've learned, and reach out to others that maybe could start their journey a little earlier than I did myself for investing in real estate. So we've kind of concentrated on some numerous topics, residential buy and hold, long-term rentals. We dipped a little bit into the commercial space. We talked a little bit about, from warehousing to syndications to assisted living for just a few topics. Now, one of my favorite asset classes, and this is actually how I started my journey back in 2016, is multifamily. Now, multifamily, as the name kind of suggests, this is where you essentially have one building, but has more than one unit in there, rented out to different tenants. So it could be small as a duplex, maybe a side-by-side duplex, or an up and down duplex where, one family lives in the bottom and one family lives on the top unit, or like I said, side by side. Triplexes, 3 units, and actually how I started my journey is through a fourplex. This was right here in Marshall, Minnesota back in 2016. Started my investing journey with the purchase of a fourplex. Started my journey pulling money out of my Roth retirement account tax-free, using it as the down payment and getting a loan for the rest, and have grown my portfolio since then. So as the name implies of the fourplex, there's 4 units in one building. Now, multifamily can really be a wide variety of placements with this. Like I said, this can be down to a 2-unit to a huge luxury A-class syndication for apartment complex, 50 units, 150 units. I've seen, large developments, even 250. Largest that I've personally seen or heard about, I should say, is 500 units. Just a huge sprawling across multiple acres, multiple buildings, but there was actually 500 individual units for rent that families or couples could move in and rent. Now, just kind of a little high level here when it comes to multifamily, how you think about multifamily may not be the same way that your bank or your lender thinks about multifamily. And I'm going to get into specifics here. Now, we've talked a little bit about house hacking, getting an FHA loan with a low down payment. And in the residential lending world, the Freddie, Fannie lending requirements, first-time homeowners, even a VA loan, for instance, you can get as large as a fourplex and get that with a residential loan. And you can live in one unit, rent out the other 3. That's another easy way that many people have started investing in real estate. You may have heard of Keith Weinhold of the popular Get Rich Education podcast and website. This is how he started his investment journey, getting an FHA loan. I think it was $10,000, $12,000 down. Came to about 3.5%. That was his down payment on a fourplex. He rented out 1 unit rented out 3 units and lived in 1. Now, when it comes to residential versus commercial, when you're talking about the lending criteria, when it comes to multifamily, when you're looking at 1 to 4 units, this can typically fall under what's called a qualifying mortgage. This is kind of your Freddie Fannie subsidized conventional 30-year fixed product out there. You can learn more from my podcast interviews with Chaley Ridge of Ridge Lending Group, podcast episodes number 20 and 22 that kind of go into this topic. But typically in the 1 to 4 units, the biggest qualifying factor is the DTI, or your debt to income ratio. I've talked about this in a number of podcasts, blog articles, LinkedIn articles. You can follow me on all my social media platforms to, look back at what I've shared in the past on this. But typically for anything 1 to 4 units, they're going to be looking at your debt to income. What are your personal debts? What's your personal income? What's your personal debt to income ratio? What's your personal net worth? You'll kind of notice I'm repeating the words personal in this time and time again, as they're looking at your personal numbers. Can you afford this single family home, this duplex, this triplex, this fourplex or quadplex, whichever you want to call it? Anything 4 units or under, the bank, the lending institution is typically going to look at your personal profile. Can you afford to buy this? Obviously, they'll factor in the additional income that's going to come from this property, but they're very much looking at what is your personal debt to income ratio. Could your personal finances handle an additional, $500 a month, $1,000 a month, $1,500 a month PITI, principal, interest, taxes, insurance payment. Again, this is all looking at you personally. Now, the nice thing about multifamily, and I'll just throw in a round number here. Let's say this is a 100 unit apartment complex, let's just say. And I don't know, I'm just kind of pulling numbers out of my head here. Let's just say from a monthly basis, and this might actually be pretty low. This is just solely for numbers purposes. Let's just say it looks at about $20,000 even net income, or maybe, I don't know, there's 100 units, all the units rent for an average of $600 a month. So that is $60,000 of gross revenue that comes in per month. Now, if we're looking at a DTI and we're factoring this on a personal basis, I highly doubt, I could be wrong, but I highly doubt anyone listening to this video has an additional spare $20,000 to $60,000 of income that comes in every single month from their W-2 job or passive investments, that they can just go to the bank. Oh yeah, I can afford to buy this 100 unit multifamily property. Not a problem at all. So this is where it gets into more of the commercial lending space, where instead of looking at your personal income, your personal net worth, they're going to be looking at the numbers of the multifamily property. You might hear a phrase Dscr, debt service coverage ratio. Again, I covered this a little bit more in detail on my podcast episode number 22 with Chaley Ridge, which I'll have a link to that here in the show notes for my video. But when you're looking at the multifamily space, whether you're doing this yourself, through a partnership, through a syndication, like we've talked about earlier, for a way to get started in real estate investing, just remember when it comes to multifamily, they don't look so much at your personal income. They might look at your credit score, see if you're a worthy borrower. If you have multiple bankruptcies on your record, they might eye you with a little caution if we're going to lend you money. But they're typically going to look at the multifamily. What's the debt service coverage ratio? What's the appraised value? What are the rents for the building? Are they at market, below market, above market rents? What's the occupancy? Does this multifamily cash flow if, say, only 70% of the units are occupied? Is 70% what's called the break even, where if say there's a downturn, a lot of people move out, and we have 30 units that are vacant, no one's living in there, but 70% or 70 units of this 100 unit apartment complex are occupied. Is that the break even? Does it still cash flow? Does it still meet the debt obligations or the debt service coverage ratio? And in conjunction with that, can we improve any of these numbers? Can you come up with a business plan? We talked a little bit earlier about forced depreciation, conversion, maybe hacking. Maybe in this facility, I don't know, maybe the market, there's a huge demand for studio apartments, college students or single people that just need a one bed, one bath, and maybe there's multiple two bed, one bath units in this apartment complex that are sitting unoccupied. Well, if there's a two bed, one bath units in a couple of the buildings, like I said, maybe there's 30% vacancy right now. Can you add a connecting wall and add in an extra bathroom and basically carve out additional units? And maybe instead of one unit that's vacant, again, just throwing out round numbers, maybe a 2-1, market rent is maybe $800 in the area. Maybe you can split that up and do one bed, one bath studio apartments. And instead of $800 a month for the whole unit, maybe you can get $500 a month for each unit, or we just increase the rent for that section that was previously vacant. We just increase that rent of about 20% just by adding a wall, subdividing it, and adding another bathroom. So, I'm just kind of throwing out some ideas here, some options here. But when it comes to the multifamily space, and again, multifamily, which is anything from 2 units and above, but in the commercial lending world, anything 5 units or above. Instead of looking at you personally, can you afford this loan? Does your DTI, your credit score, your debts, your net worth play into this favorably that you can afford this? They're going to be looking at the numbers of the property. What's the debt service coverage ratio? Is the property cash flowing? What's the occupancy ratio? Does it cash flow, or is it break even at, even a 50% occupancy, a 70% occupancy? That's where the numbers kind of play in. So that's where you can really kind of step up your game. And, honestly, there's many federally subsidized programs, even FHA loans, and Freddie and Fannie even have various commercial loans. I've even seen non-QM products out there, 40 years interest only, 40-year amortization versus 30-year fixed. Several options out there that you can get involved in, whether it's a syndication, a partnership. Then it would just be a matter of getting the down payment. Maybe it's grouping together investor funds. Maybe you have a number of investor friends that, hey, to buy this property, maybe it's a distressed property, low occupancy, again, just throwing out numbers. Maybe it's $100,000 we need for a down payment. Okay, maybe I don't have $100,000. Maybe you don't have $100,000, but do you yourself and 9 others have $10,000 to invest? So 10 people put in $10,000. There's your $100,000 down payment for this multifamily property. And then as far as approving of the loan, we're looking at the debt service coverage ratio, not the DTI of your personal income, and could essentially scale very quickly into the multifamily space. So in closing, I hope you learned a couple of things from this video. When it comes to multifamily, again, from a practical perspective, this is basically any unit that is, or any building that is 2 units and up. Like I said, I've heard and seen as high as 500 units in a complex. But when it comes to the financing world, anything 5 units or above, then you're looking more at a commercial loan. You're going to be looking at the numbers of the property. So if you're looking at it's like, well, gee, there's just no way that I could possibly qualify for a loan for this, 25, 50, whatever unit property, heck, even the 6 unit property even. Well, maybe that's true on your own personal balance sheet, but what are the numbers of the multifamily property? Typically, when it comes to a debt service coverage ratio, every lender is a little bit different, but if the debt service coverage ratio is about 1.2 or above, typically then you're probably going to be approved for a loan. And as far as the down payment goes, the 20%, 25%, maybe look at a syndication, a crowdfunding, a group of investors, cash out refinance of another property, a HELOC, life insurance loan, collateralize some gold or some crypto. There's numerous options available to get the down payment qualify for the loan on the multifamily, as that is determinant on the numbers of the property, not the numbers on your personal financial statement. So that is the end of video, or way number 27, how to get started in real estate investing. And today we had covered multifamily. Be sure to hit that subscribe button and stay tuned for the remaining 3 videos for Financial Literacy Month of April. Take care.